In 1986, a mathematician tested 45 slightly different versions of spaghetti sauce. He conducted 3,000 tasting sessions over 3 full years. People were asked to eat until they felt physically full. And yet, after every single bowl, they kept asking for more. Not a single person realized their brain was being mathematically overridden. The man behind the test was not a chef. He held a PhD from Harvard University in experimental psychophysics. His name was Howard Moskowitz. And he wasn't hired to make food taste good. He was hired to solve a dark equation for the food industry. At what exact chemical ratio does the human brain lose its ability to feel full? To understand his answer, you first have to look at how nature built you. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors survived on natural food. When you eat a wild strawberry, your taste buds register sugar and acid. Your tongue sends an immediate signal straight to your hypothalamus. Your brain enjoys the flavor, but it quickly grows tired of it. Biologists call this sensory-specific satiety. It's nature's built-in safety brake. It forces you to stop eating one thing and seek different nutrients. Without this brake, primitive humans would have eaten until their stomachs ruptured. For millennia, this biological circuit kept our species alive. Until Howard Moskowitz brought it into his laboratory. Moskowitz began mapping human pleasure on a bell curve. On the left side of the curve, not enough sugar. The food tastes bland. On the right side of the curve, too much sugar. The food becomes sickeningly sweet. Your brain registers the excess sweetness and triggers the satiety brake. You put the spoon down. You are done. But right at the absolute peak of that mathematical curve sits a precise coordinate where pleasure is maximized, but fullness is never triggered. Moskowitz coined a term for this point that changed the food industry forever. The bliss point is the exact concentration of sugar, salt, or fat that delivers maximum reward to the brain's dopamine pathways, without ever reaching the threshold that tells your body, "I've had enough." Think about what that actually means. When you eat a food engineered to the bliss point, your brain reads it as endless reward. Your stomach might be physically expanding. Your blood glucose might be spiking. But the sensory brake in your brain simply never engages. You are not eating because you are hungry. You are eating because a mathematical algorithm is holding your dopamine system open. Moskowitz proved this first with Campbell's soup and Prego. At the time, traditional Italian spaghetti sauce was simple: tomatoes, garlic, olive oil. Moskowitz added something traditional chefs considered absurd. He loaded the sauce with plain, refined white sugar. Not enough to make it taste like dessert, but just enough to hit the bliss point. When Prego launched Extra Chunky with his formula, sales exploded to $600 million. Every major food conglomerate on earth took notice. And they realized sugar was only the first weapon. To create the ultimate irresistible product, you need the three-legged stool. Salt triggers rapid saliva production and immediate flavor transport. Fat provides rich mouthfeel, tricking the brain into sensing dense calories. And sugar delivers the primitive neurochemical hit. When combined in precise ratios, they create a phenomenon called dynamic contrast. Crunchy on the outside, melting on the inside. Salty on top, sweet underneath. Your brain is so overwhelmed processing the contrasting sensations that it completely forgets to evaluate how much you've actually consumed. Then food scientists engineered an even deeper trick. They call it vanishing caloric density. Take a snack like Cheetos or potato chips. When you bite into it, it melts in your mouth almost instantly. Your brain relies on the physical volume in your mouth to track food intake. If a food melts quickly, your brain assumes the calories have vanished. It thinks you are eating virtually nothing. So you can swallow 2,000 calories of processed snacks. And your appetite center still reports, stomach empty, keep going. This isn't cooking. This is neuroengineering. By the 1990s, food companies weren't hiring chefs anymore. They built massive research centers equipped with MRI scanners and brain mapping software. They tested thousands of flavor compounds on human subjects, measuring microexpressions, heart rates, and saliva secretion. All to find the exact breakpoint where self-control collapses. Look at what happened to the supermarket shelves. In 1970, the average grocery store carried around 8,000 items. Today, a standard supermarket carries over 40,000. And over 73% of those products are ultra-processed. Yogurt, bread, salad dressing, pasta sauce, canned soup, frozen meals. Items you would never suspect contain added sugar. Yet almost all of them have been quietly tuned to their own specific bliss point. Why? Because a product that hits the bliss point gets bought twice as often. If a food satisfies you naturally, you buy it once a week. If a food bypasses your satiety break, you buy it 3 times a week. Overconsumption isn't a side effect of the food industry's business model. It is the business model. And the cost to human biology has been catastrophic. Since the widespread adoption of bliss point formulas in the late 1970s, global obesity rates have more than tripled. Type 2 diabetes, once rare in young adults, exploded worldwide. For decades, public health messaging told us the same story. It's a failure of personal responsibility. You just lack willpower. You blame yourself when you eat half a tub of ice cream at midnight. You think you are weak. You think everyone else has some secret discipline that you're missing. But you were never fighting your own appetite. You were fighting a trillion-dollar industry armed with your own evolutionary code. Your brain was sculpted over 2 million years to seek out energy-dense food. In the wild, high-calorie meant survival. Your instincts are doing exactly what they were designed to do. The difference is, you now live in an environment where those instincts are turned against you. Every chip, every soda, every frozen meal is a precision-guided missile aimed at your dopamine receptors. And Howard Moskowitz? He didn't hide what he did. In later interviews, he openly described his work as optimization. He saw himself as a scientist solving a fascinating puzzle of human perception. When asked if he felt guilty about the health crisis that followed, he simply pointed out that he gave people exactly what they asked for. And that is the most unsettling realization of all. They didn't force us to eat any of it. They just engineered a reality where stopping is mathematically improbable. So what do you do once you know the equation? First, you stop believing that your cravings are a flaw in your character. They are not a flaw. They are a response to a hack. Second, you start looking at processed food labels differently. When you see sugar, salt, and fat combined in a product that shouldn't need them, you are not looking at a recipe. You are looking at a trap set for your brain chemistry. Real food still has its natural sensory break. An apple, a steak, an egg, a bowl of rice. You eat them, your brain registers satiety, and you stop. Engineered food is designed so that you never stop. The next time you reach into a bag of chips and find yourself unable to stop. Remember 45 jars of sauce in a Maryland lab in 1986. Remember the bell curve, the bliss point, and the missing sensory break. You weren't losing a battle against your own weakness. You were playing a game where the board was tilted before you even sat down. Now that you see the board, the choice is finally yours.